Well, hey guys, welcome back to Waters Family Homestead. All right, as you see, I got a basket full of eggs, and there actually is one tomato up under there, right there. It's a medium size, it's not huge. But we're supposed to get some thunderstorms this evening, and all I've heard is rumbling for the last hour to hour and a half. So I went ahead and got on the mower because a friend stopped by to borrow some tools I had, and he told me it was raining about 5 miles, 3 to 5 miles from me south, but it wasn't raining here. So I figured, well, I'll get my parking area cut again. I still got to come back and weed eat. I did find my weed eater twine and got it rewrapped, got it filled up. So then I went out there and watered the garden, because the way my luck is, if I don't water, it's not going to rain. And those tomato plants and watermelon plants and squash need water. As hot as it's been being, it needs a lot. I don't think there's anything in the rain gauge. Nope. Dry as a bone. So I had 2 tomatoes that the tomato hornworms had chewed on a little bit, so I threw them in for the chickens. And yesterday I picked 3 squash that were the biggest ones I've picked all year. But I picked 3 of them hoping I would be able to do some, stir-fried in butter squash last night for supper, and the vine borers had gotten in all 3 of them. Now, I could have cut part of it off. They wasn't in them bad, but I'm not going to do that. Just feed it to the chickens. They loved it. They destroyed those squash within 5 minutes. All 3 of them were gone. But I've been finding tomato hornworms still. I went back several nights in a row with my black light and didn't find any. Then the 3rd night, I found 8 more. So I didn't go last night or the night before. Today I found 2 medium-sized ones on the plants, and I can tell they've been in there eating on my plant some. So I'll go back out tonight, doggone it, after it gets dark, and look for some more tomato hornworms. And I just collected the eggs. Y'all saw them in the basket. And I walked back through here. Look at that. There's an egg on the ground right there. That was not there 5 minutes ago. So I got to get in there just in case it rains and get that egg. If it gets wet, that means I got to wash it and put it in the fridge. But y'all know I have reduced the number of videos that I've been making and putting out. And I'll be honest, it's just so doggone hot. There's not a lot I can do outside in this heat. Our heat indexes have been well over 100 degrees. And by the time I get enough shade in the areas that I want to work, grass needs cutting and other chores need doing. Look at that. They are tearing those peaches up. Every day I've been picking anywhere from 2 to 6 peaches and throw them on the ground, and they are just destroying those peaches. They absolutely love them. That surprised me. I actually picked 2 yesterday. Ooh, there's a lot of fur right here off of something. White feathers. But I actually picked 2 peaches yesterday and cut them, and I peeled them and cut them and little slices and ate them. The peaches were very good. So if I spray for the pest next year, hopefully I'll get a bunch of peaches that I can do something with. We'll just have to see. I may have just missed this egg a little while ago because it does not feel warm like it was just laid. Maybe a chicken was in my line of sight for it or something. But either way, it's a heavy egg day. So as I was saying, y'all noticed I have been making less videos, uploading less videos, And part of that is the heat in southwest Georgia. Every year when it gets this hot, I cut back a little bit because it's just so hot, hard to get things done. But I did run the mower down this edge. I've still got to come in and weed eat, like I said. But I have collected a couple dozen big figs off my tree back there. The birds beat me to most of them, but the figs that I picked are absolutely, they are very, very sweet and soft. I mean, it's just amazing how good those things are. When I'm not a big fig person, never bought any out of the store, you know, other than trying them when I worked in the grocery store for 30 plus years. I'm just, you know, haven't, but homegrown figs taste completely different. There's no pesticides put on my bushes or trees or anything. They are awesome. But anywho, y'all know I've been letting the hens that wanted to set and incubate eggs, and this one had more than 8 hatch, but so far 8 of the babies that she hatched have survived, and 7 from the first pen from the black sex lynx over here has survived, and they're about half grown. They're close to 2 months old. But I just honestly, and I've got some friends that have chickens. I got a buddy that's got twice as many as I do, if not more. He sells all his eggs, but he will deliver them. He's a lot closer to Columbus, Georgia than I am. He's about halfway there from here. And he's got some people up there that'll buy every one he brings them. And he's got customers in Americus, which is, you know, pretty much where I live, that will buy them if he delivers them. So, I mean, he come by the office the other day and said he just delivered 10 dozen to somebody in Americus. I just don't, I'm not on Facebook, so it's not like I can put it on Facebook Marketplace or something and advertise them. So I do keep some at the shop, or have been keeping some at the shop for sale. My boss, actually, it was his suggestion that I do that. And I've sold quite a few up there, but I just don't sell as many eggs as my chickens produce. Now, the purpose of my chickens, I've talked to y'all before, being a prepper, is not just the eggs, but also the meat. So when they get a year to year and a half old, process them, and then the babies that I'm raising will replace the adults that I'm processing. Well, I've decided I was going to cut my flock back down to around 15. You know, I'm going to aim for 14, 15, 16, but if I end up with 18, fine. If I end up with 12, fine. So I'm going to try. Right now, I've got 30 adult hens, 3 adult roosters. So my goal is to have 5 or 6 hens per rooster. And y'all know I did away with the female turkey. That tom turkey, when I do processing, will go to the freezer. He's not near as big as the one that was in here before with him, but he's gonna go to the freezer unless I find him a home. So my buddy that I actually gave half a dozen or more, I think 6 or 8 chickens to about a year ago, has been hatching some of those eggs and growing his flock, and he said he'd take more hens. So he's supposed to come back this weekend with his kennel, with his pet carrier, and get some more hens. And I'm going to let him have, you know, whatever he wants when he gets here. So I can get mine down to about 15, 16, 18, something like that. And that means I need to lose at least a dozen. And if he'll take a dozen, then I'm going to let him have them. But with that being said, I'm going to try to keep my Easter eggers, because 2 of them do add color to my eggs when I carton them. And I like seeing the real light blue and the real light green. And I got one that lays a real dark brown. So I'm going to try to keep my Easter eggers, but if he wants some Rhode Island Reds or black sex lynx, I'll give him up to 12 or so if he wants them. And that'll reduce me down to, you know, 18 to 20 roughly, if he wants that many. If he don't want that many, then I'm gonna let him have what he wants. But so I'm gonna reduce that, and that'll also reduce my feed bill, and it'll reduce the number of eggs that I'm getting, because I simply cannot sell all the eggs that I get. Week before last, and some of you would probably wish you were close by, but the week before last, I actually gave away 20 dozen eggs that whole week. Gave them away. Hopefully people will come back and want more, you know, after I give them away. And then this past Sunday, I took 10 dozen to church with me and gave them to a lady that normally buys eggs from me. And I know they're not having financially hard times that I'm aware of, but she's had some health issues, and also I know there's medical bills, and I just thought, well, she hadn't bought any in several weeks. I'll take some to work and let her have all she wants and see if she wants to give the rest away. So I gave all 10 dozen to her for her to give away to her family and friends. And hopefully some of those people will come back and want to buy some eggs from me. But I'm going to reduce this flock. And White Knight's over there doing his job. But I'm going to reduce this flock down to a half to 2/3 from what I currently have. And that's going to be a whole lot easier for me to take care of. It's going to be less feed, less cleaning of the waters, you know, just less livestock in general. It's going to make things easier for me. Still going to be able to do videos and show you my chickens and incubate and still try to raise more to replace the older ones and so on. But I've got 15 baby chicks right now. And with the 15 baby chicks, if half of them are roosters, that leaves me 7 or 8 hens. Well, that's half of what I want to have. So if I can get another hen or two to get broody and hatch some more, I'll end up with enough hens. And then if I, you know, whatever roosters I have, I'll also end up putting in the freezer when I process these other adults. I know my son bought me 24 buff Orpingtons, what we call blue Orpington, because they were gray. And out of that 24 that he bought me, I think we ended up with 8 or 9 roosters. And I put all those roosters in the freezer. I processed every one of them the last time I processed chickens. And plus my older flock. I think at that time I had 6 hens and another rooster, the daddy to these 2 roosters here. I processed all those and put them in the freezer. And that's what's going to happen here. But either way, I'm going to keep letting them hatch babies and raise them until I get the 15 to 20, 15 to 18 preferably, hens that I want. And then everything else when I process will go to the freezer. So we'll just see how it works out. But that's still 15 to 18 hens in a day is still getting a dozen eggs a day. And honestly, when I worked with my brother's company, I averaged selling 8 to 10 dozen a week with the people there that bought from me and the people from church and so on. Well, now I'm probably averaging selling 4 or 5 dozen a week. And I'm getting 2 dozen a day. So I'm only selling about half of what I'm getting. So if I cut my flock back by half, or roughly half, that should get it to where I've still got plenty of eggs to sell, but I'm not overproducing. And guys, I don't know if I've said it recently, but y'all know I take a dozen eggs and mix them all together in a bowl, you know, crack them open, mix them in a bowl, and pour that dozen eggs into a quart Ziploc bag. Seal it up and lay it flat in the freezer, and it'll freeze those eggs. And then I have actually, when the dogs killed all my chickens, I didn't have any eggs. Instead of buying some, I got Ziploc bags of them out of the freezer, put them in the fridge, and when they thaw, you can just pour out how much you want into your frying pan and cook scrambled eggs. And that worked out well for me. But I've got hundreds of dozens in the freezer. There's no reason for me to put more eggs in the freezer when I need that space for other things. So I just need to cut back on the chickens, and that's what I'm going to do. All right, video's 15 minutes long. I'm going to go show y'all the garden, although there's not a whole lot to see. Okay, you can see the squash plants have gotten pretty big in these grow bags. And I actually picked a squash from here and there and that plant over there yesterday. Those were the 3 the vine borers got in. So I may get more, I don't know. There's a lot of blooms. But I probably will have to pick them a little bit earlier, because you could tell the vine borers had just gotten in there. May have to pick them a little bit earlier to keep the vine borers from getting into them, but I've already watered everything, and I'm watering heavy with the amount of heat that we're having in southwest Georgia. My buddy Tony, he lives a little further southwest than I do, a couple hours, but it's so hot, you've got to water your garden heavy. And you know, I had tomato spotted wilt virus on a lot of the tomatoes, or all of them, and that plus the hornworms is just tearing them up. But I've still got a lot of tomatoes that need picking once they turn red. I mean, they're all in these plants. I've got a lot of tomatoes that have yet to ripen that I need to hopefully let ripen and pick, or at least start to ripen, and then I can pick them and let them finish on the counter. That way the bugs don't get them. But I've also got a watermelon right there, if y'all can see it. It's a little bigger than a soccer ball. And then I've got another watermelon right here. It's a little bit bigger than the other one. So the curly Q has not started dying back on this one yet, so it's a little bigger than the other. So it's not ready to pick yet, but I'm hoping they don't bust and they don't rot and all that good stuff, and I get at least 1 or 2 watermelons off of them this year. I picked one and it was a little early. Still sweet, but it wasn't quite ripe enough. All I could pretty much eat was the heart of it. So I'm pleased with the way the raised bed garden did this year. I've got some more stakes I need to come back and staple that back down. But I'm pleased with it. Next year I know to plant a whole lot thinner, not 6 bushes in one bed. Probably put 2 in that bed. I know to only plant 1 tomato vine over there. I know to only put 3 zucchini in one of these beds. One of them can get 3 squash, and another one can get green beans. I'll plant more green beans next year, because the plants did really well for me this year, and that'll give me a lot more to put up. And then I'm probably not going to plant corn in the raised bed. It did not do very well, especially next to my tomatoes. So I'll plant something else in these raised beds here. But either way, I'm pleased with it. My mulberry tree, we'll walk over there and show y'all. All right, my mulberry tree that I planted, all the original leaves died off, and you see how the top of this plant's died. It's brown and brittle, but the rest of the plant did not, and it's got all these new leaves coming out on it. I'm watering it heavy every day. I mean, my spray nozzle on my hose, I barely reach out here. I've got more hose, I just didn't want to hook it up. But I wet this thing for at least 5 minutes with that nozzle on wide open. And this is the twig we stuck back in the ground that he broke off. Looks like it's got some new growth coming on it also. Right, if it'll focus, let me get my hand behind it. So it's got some new growth coming. So I'm pleased with it. All these little leaves are new since the original ones died off from the shock of transplanting. But I dug that hole about 4 times the size of the pot this thing was in, and twice as deep, and added a bunch of the garden soil to the bottom of the hole. put the pot in there, you know, out of the pot, of course, and then filled it with the garden soil and just put the dirt that I dug off back over the top. And hopefully this tree is going to live if the deer don't kill it. And I'll have a mulberry tree that might grow. That one up there, it just never has taken off. The deer hit it a few times and broke it, and I've had friends that come over and run over it with their car. It's a mess. But the tomato plants that don't have any tomatoes on them, like this has got one. This other plant right here doesn't have any tomatoes on it. I've already picked them. But there's a couple of blooms that may turn into tomatoes. So I'm going to leave it there for a little bit longer. That plant has got blooms on the top. So if tomatoes start to grow, then great. If not, I'll probably pull those tomato plants out, you know, shake off all the soil off the roots and throw that into the chicken pen and let them peck on it and do what they can with it. But I'm very well pleased. Yes, I'm not a professional gardener, but I enjoy spending time out here before it gets 100 degrees and planting and growing food that I can eat that I know has zero chemicals or anything put on it. And that's just awesome to me. And the flavor is just so much better than what you get in the grocery store. But we'll just have to see how it turns out. I'm still learning. Guys, I appreciate y'all watching my videos. This was a little bit longer than normal. But I appreciate y'all sticking with me and following along on my little mini homestead. There's a lot more content that if I had time and it wasn't too hot that I could make for you guys, and I plan on doing that. But we just got to get through the next 2 months of this 100+ heat index every day. So it's either 105 heat index or higher, or it's storming, which is about supposed to do tonight. We'll just have to see. But thank y'all for watching. Thank you for subscribing, hitting the thumbs up, and sticking with me through these thinner times of the year. I really do appreciate it. Y'all remember what I've always told you. Jesus Christ loves you, and so do I. Y'all be safe. Be prepared.